So now, let's please welcome Sam Artioli of Tredder.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Morning. So my name is Sam Artioli. I'm here to talk about Tredder. But before I do that, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. So I started my career back in 2000 at Apple Computers out in California. I worked there for 7 years as a systems integration engineer. It was an amazing time to be there. Great company to work for. Tragedy struck in 2007. My grandfather passed, and so I left. I decided I didn't want to work for a big company anymore. I wanted to create something on my own, and I wanted to travel the world a little bit, so I did that. I traveled the world for 3 years. I do Brazilian martial arts called capoeira, so I went to Brazil first. I went to Australia, Southeast Asia, Italy, bought a Ducati, drove all through Italy. Had a lot of fun. As you guys know, Apple's, I think they were $4 a share when I started, so I think you can do that. I then created my first company, and it was an attachment for guitars, and I learned how not to create a company. I manufactured a product. I manufactured about 5,000 of them. I've got about 1,000 of them still in my garage, so I learned how not to create a company. Through a series of events, I ended up working at Disney and rebuilding the DisneyWorld.Disney.go.com, that weird email, when they did that whole Disney rebuild back in 2012 timeframe. I then entered into the emerging tech group there, where I was doing RFID and AI research. I left in 2016 to start an AI company. It was called Abe AI. It was local in Orlando. I don't know if anyone knows about Abe. We built chatbot software, and this was the previous iteration of AI, not the current hype cycle. And we built a chatbot, and we white labeled it for community banks. We got acquired by InvestNet. In 2019, I was VP of AI for a year there, and then in 2020, I left right before COVID. I spent 2020, 2022 just kind of working on some passive income. I have a website called startbootstrap.com that generates passive income, and I have 2 small children, so I spent that time with them. And then last fall, I was like, what am I going to spend the next 10 years of my life on, right? So I wanted something to do, and I realized I wanted to build another company. And so I went on to the Y Combinator, Hacker News. Anyone know Y Combinator? So very, very, very famous incubator out in California. Uber, Airbnb, a lot of companies incubate through Y Combinator. They have a co-founder matching tool, which if you're looking to start a company, I strongly suggest you go on there. You can start a company by yourself. It's much better with people. Long story short, I interviewed 80 people over 3 weeks, and I met my co-founder. So my co-founder, David, he was the one that kind of had the idea for Tredder, and that will segue into what we're talking about here. So this is our pitch deck that I would normally send out to investors beforehand. I'll talk through this, and I'll try not to read from it, but I'll let y'all read along with me. So redefining the insurance landscape for the outdoor venture market. So our whole market is outdoor venturing, kayaking, mountain biking. That's where we want to expand into. Our immediate niche is in overlanding. And so overlanding, anyone know what overlanding is? Show hands. Okay. So if you've probably seen like a Toyota Tundra or like a Land Rover, and they've got like a scoop on it and a winch in the front and a camper on the top, right? They put all this gear and modifications onto their trucks, and they take it out into the wilderness and they go camping. Right, so imagine, if you will, you bought a $40,000 truck, you put $40,000 worth of gear modifications on it, and then you get into an accident or that gets stolen, you're getting a check from your insurance company for 40 grand, not 80, right? So that 40 grand is above and beyond the value of the vehicle. That's not covered. On top of that, you also run the risk of being dropped. So I think I have it in here, right? So this is we get these all the time. We see people with these. Basically, they say, "Hey, insurance company, I just added these modifications to my truck, and I just want to make sure it's covered." And they say, "Oh, okay, thank you for letting us know. By the way, you no longer have insurance." And so this is the problem. And so this is the niche we decided to attack first. And the way we're doing it is we're building a product that is basically an E&S. And so an E&S is an excess and surplus insurance, and it goes on top of what you already have for your vehicle coverage. So if you have a $40,000 truck, you put $40,000 worth of modifications onto it. If you have a $25,000 or $50,000 trailer or a $100,000 camper, it's crazy the values. There's actually companies that outfit these types of cars for like millions of dollars, and they don't have insurance. And so that is where Tredder was born, and that's what we do. So every solution today sells auto insurance. So better insurance. This is our supplemental vehicle line. Adventure equipment line. We also plan to, over time, be able to offer like warranties or extended warranties for people who buy tents online, like direct integration in the channels. But again, our E&S is our first product. So 100% digital insurance. So I've worked in fintech, I've worked in medical tech, and now I'm in insure tech. I didn't know anything about insurance until January of this year. It's so behind. There's insurance brokers, insurance agents still do stuff by fax machine and paper. And so there's a lot of back-end systems, a lot of disparate technology. So my specialty is technology. Obviously, I built a lot of companies and I built a lot of admin platforms. And so our quoting platform and our back-end platform is very cutting edge, and we plan on using that as a leverage to build out products. The Tredder product, the EMS product we built, we'll probably, when we go live in about January, is where we're targeting now, it'll probably cost us somewhere around 350 grand, and we would have done it in about a year. Most companies that want to bring out a new type of insurance product will spend millions of dollars, and usually take about 18 months. And so we're also, my co-founder was from Treadbull. And so branding is very important. So we think of this like Haggerty's. Haggerty's is kind of the insurance for classic cars. If anyone has a classic car or heard of Haggerty's, they have a YouTube channel and they direct market to classic car owners, and it brings in a lot of inbound traffic instead of outbound. So you get off that flywheel of content marketing. We did a trade show and it went really well. We spent about 25 grand. We got about 500 leads. And so these are kind of just preliminary numbers. The outdoor adventure market, outdoor recreation itself is a giant market, 8.87 billion. You can see from these numbers, 184.5 billion outdoor recreation products and gear, equipment, and vehicle. And then we look at our market size. So my biggest objection was, when I first started talking to David, was, is this big enough? Is there going to be enough? You know, I've never even heard of overlanding. I did overlanding, I just never even heard of it. It's funny, once you get into the actual, if you get to the ecosystem, like the Overland Expo, 70,000 people go to these expos every year. There's a very large population of people who do this. This is from a SEMA report. They say 25.5 million late model 4x4 trucks are on the road. In this survey, 8.5 million of those owners identify as off-roaders or car campers. So we can also, anyone heard of van life? Van life's a big movement too. So we also insure van life. In that sense, when you have your computer, or say you have your camera, $20,000 camera in your car, you're a van lifer, you're an overlander, you're going and doing these adventures, if your camera's stolen, it's covered under your homeowner's policy or your renter's policy. Most people would know that. What most people don't know is you're only covered 10%. So if you have a $20,000 camera and it gets stolen, you're only getting $2 grand for it. So again, we will cover all the gear as well. This is what we think we can do within the first year. We think we can hit 14.4 thousand people, an average policy per year of 1,000. That puts us at 14.4 million AWP. This is our team. So we have a third co-founder, Jason, this is his fourth MGA. And so we recruited him, and we're like, hey, we're building an insurance company. Would you like to join us? And his administrator, he's like, no, absolutely no way. I'm not doing auto. I'll never do auto again. I've done 3 auto MGAs. I'm never doing another auto MGA. And so at the end of the conversation, we were having coffee. He basically was like, okay, I'm in. When we told him, he's like, this sounds great. This is a niche. I see it. We have some other people that are working for us, contractors and advisors. We put together a great team so far. Some of the economics, I can send this out if anyone's interested in. The landscape, so Good Sam and Haggerty's is, like I said, the classic car insurance. Good Sam sells to RVs. They're adjacent to us. They don't go after, again, the niche that we're going after. And they're not the same type of product. They're a full-blown product for the vans. We are kind of an additional product on top of the insurance. And so our vision is, again, to broaden our product ranges, to widen market segmentation, and then just to use technology to make improvements within the business. We're seeking a $2 million, $20 million post-money safe right now. We're actually also looking to bring on debt. We'd rather bring on more debt than raise, so we don't have to give away as much equity. So if anyone knows anyone giving out debt, we're looking. And thank you. So these are some contact numbers. We've got a pro forma. There's one thing I wanted to, we figure we'll be cash flow positive by August of next year. And if you look at our numbers as they project out, these numbers that are highlighted at the top there are AWP. Insurance companies are not valued on their cash flow. They're valued on their AWP or their written policy. Because what you can do is you can take that money, like people know Geico, right? Takes some money for policies and pays out money for policies. Most insurance companies maybe break even on that. Where they make money is on the float. So all the money that they bring in, they take that money and invest. It's kind of like a bank. You can invest a certain amount of that money and then bring in more money. So that's where insurance companies are valued on. It's on their AWP and not on their not on the EBITDA, their cash flow. Howden is our broker it's our reinsurance broker for anyone in the insurance business. That's who we're working with. And just some exit opportunities, maybe a SPAC, merger, or acquisition. Yeah. So I will leave it there and field some questions. Applause.
My first one. So since you're looking for debt, you can have all my debt. That's fine.
Okay, all right, yes.
So this is really, really fascinating and cool. I'm curious, do you see something in the future, the far future maybe, where it's not just the vehicles, but you're insuring the adventure racer themselves, like accidental ADL kind of insurance, because that's a big market as well that I've seen in the past.
Yeah, so we do offer other insurances besides this. So we will insure the modifications, we'll insure a camper, and then we'll insure a trailer. So those three disparate parts, or the E&S as we call it. We have other policies that will insure campsite liability, off-road protection. So if you tip your car off-road, we'll come and get you off-road, or we'll give you a voucher for that rescue services. So we're offering.
What if I end up in the hospital out in Europe somewhere?
And we do have a personal body protection coverage, I believe, that we're going to be offering as well. Yeah. The cool thing about this as well is because it's an E&S, it's not a non-admitted product. We can go out live in all 50 states out the bat, and we can also go overseas.
What does that mean, ENS and admitted?
So ENS is excess and surplus. Again, I'm not an insurance person, but excess and surplus is the definition of it. It means it's not, and non-admitted means we don't have to, insurance is very regulated, and you have to go state by state, and we are regulated, but an admitted product means I have to go to state by state and file, and it can take years to get in. Like some people won't even go to California because of how long it takes to become an insurance product there. By being non-admitted, it allows us to do one set of regulational filings that's much broader and higher level, and then we can sell to all 50 states out the bat. There's some stipulations that go along with that, but that's.
So I have a question. So I have friends that are doing the van life.
Yep.
And they have difficulty finding insurance because they don't have a residence.
Exactly.
Right? How do you get around that?
Not a problem. Because we won't be able to insure their van necessarily. So we're working, I didn't talk about our distribution. So we're going to do half distribution through direct-to-consumer. We're going to do half through brokers. We've already got a brokerage network of 1,000 brokers and growing that will be distributing our product. To answer your question, getting insurance from van life, a lot of people will do it commercially. So we have a broker that we're going to work, or an insurance provider we're going to work through to get the auto insurance policy, and then we'll insure everything on top of it. So we'll get a brokerage commission until we become a full-blown PPA, which eventually that's in the plans down the road. We'll help your friend get the van life policy for their van, and then we'll insure on top of that everything inside the van, modifications to it. So if you bought a Sprinter for, I don't know, 80 grand, I'm sure there's like 40 or 50 grand inside that Sprinter to make it livable. We'll insure all of the modifications, and then all the gear, personal property we'll insure as well. Try to insure. And then we'll find someone to insure the van for you. We have a partner we already work with.
Cool.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so kind of coming from an insurance background, I think one of the questions that came up was considering it's an all-digital platform, you're familiar with like Ethos, where they kind of do life and health like that?
Sure.
My assumption would be this would kind of fall under like an umbrella coverage, right?
It's like an umbrella in the sense that you have to have an underlying policy. You can think of it like an umbrella, but it's not technically. There's like a technical definition of an umbrella policy. We're in E&S. So, but it's like, you can think of it like an umbrella, yeah. So your normal policy will cover you up to the limit of your vehicle, and then we take over from there.
Okay. And then
We have-
Yeah, we can take over. I think you can answer a second.
Go ahead.
no, what I was going to say was with regards to that, the aspect of kind of the whole affiliate system of, since it's all digital, as long as I have all of my stuff in check, if I were to send it to somebody who I know, could I get a commission on that?
Yep, absolutely.
Back here.
Yeah, so I saw on your list of people in the company, and so you got a director of content strategy. I'm curious, what does your content strategy encompass?
So right now, he's way over his skis, but he's loving it. He's doing a great job. He was part of building out Bronco Nation. So it was a large fan forum that kind of got built out and acquired by Bronco by Ford. Our strategy is basically pushing out videos and trying to generate content for the community. So a lot of like rig reviews and talking about like the latest trucks that are coming out. We're dropping a lot of stuff on Instagram. But he originally came on because he wanted to run that. We were going to hire content creators and money's tight. So he's just basically creating the content.
Well, one thing I recommend for you guys,
Sure.
You might want to start a podcast, which I know that's a lot of work, so that might be something down the line. But then you also want to think about influencer marketing and YouTube marketing, because all those communities you're talking about are super strong on TikTok.
Oh, absolutely.
And so if you can start, do some sponsor partnerships with popular van life and rig life YouTubers, that's going to do a lot to get you guys out there.
We did. That's a great point. So at this festival, I actually don't know his name, but he's a really big influencer in the overlanding community. I should know his name, huh? And that's part of the outreach and growth is to develop that. Because if you go on YouTube and you look for overlanding videos, there's like millions of views, and there's tons of really, really good influencers in there. So yeah, some of them are a little. What we're trying to do is find the ones that are just taking off, like, because the ones that are already at the top. We tried to bankroll an influencer, and we were basically sponsoring his videos, and that was wrong. We shouldn't have done that.
I wouldn't go for one influencer, like you said. I'd go for micro influencers and smaller sponsorships for them. That's going to do a lot to spread your message and keep it.
Appreciate it.
So, hi. My thoughts on this were, I work in search and rescue and disaster recovery.
Oh, nice.
So I do an awful lot of work with people that have lost essentially everything.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that definitely falls under your umbrella. My concern is, like, have you really thought about the demographic of search and rescue? Because, I mean, this stuff that we carry $3 to $4 million worth of gear on our rigs, and almost nobody is really insuring us, so we have to, like, cover everything with, like, state contracts and stuff like that.
That might fall more under commercial. So you like Matt's off-road stuff? Is that the things that you're going off and?
Well, I work with Team Rubicon, so.
Okay. Oh, wow.
We should talk about disaster recovery after. But we're having a terrible time finding people that are insuring our actual operations. So is that something that you're trying to get into, or is that just a demographic you haven't considered?
That's more of a commercial. That being said, we have some gentlemen that we work with in Southern California that I can connect you with that might help. I think that's more of a commercial policy, but it's definitely something we look at if it's, yeah.
Well, I'm not the guy to talk to about that. I'm only here in Central Florida. I operate by 9,000 people, but there's.
I definitely want to connect with you about that. So over time, our first offering is going to be offering vouchers for when people need off-road recovery. I think it's $1,000 or $2,000 a voucher. But eventually, we'd like to have a network of recovery specialists that we could just call onto. So being part of the Tredder Club, we just call them and they will go help you off-road. It's interesting too because most people don't realize that do this. Once you go off-road, you're also not covered at all by your policy. So if you're off of a paved road or a named road and you get to an accident, good luck getting a check from Progressive or Geico or any of them.
We have a question up here.
Great idea. What you're putting together, what the insurance we've put a number of years now. Two questions. One, in your initial discussions with the auto insurers, is there a pretty distinct line where you come in and they drop off, or is there overlap? I think, a trunk where something comes out of it, a pop-ups or, back ends. Where does the car end, and have you looked at that?
So yeah, that's, for the most part, most insurance companies will cover up to about $2,000 or $3,000 it's slipping my mind, it's one of the acronyms, not ENS, it'll come to me, the modifications, right? They'll cover up to about $3,000 of stuff like that, and then we would take over wherever they leave off.
Good. And then I want to just follow up with the gentleman back here. Again, I think there's going to be a lot of education needed. I think people just say, hey, I got the money, I'm dumping all that in. What's a big deal and what's in it for me? And I think you're going to have to make sure you have a good story, not just we're here, but why.
Right. So we did the Overland Expo, it was a really big success. Those are the pictures at the beginning of the slide. And this was my whole day, for 3 days. We're handing out keychains to most people. If you ever worked at a trade show, want nothing to do with you, right? Like, because they don't know you're just trying to walk by and just don't talk to me. So they're like, hey, want a keychain? And I get the person like, yeah, okay. I'd be like, hey, we cover all the modifications that your insurance won't cover. And people would stop in their tracks and like, wait, what did you say? And so that's our new slogan, our 10, whatever it was, that's going to be our next trade show is we covered the modification your insurance company won't. We put that in big letters because people were like, as soon as you say that, they pricked up. They're like, oh, really? Wow, let me know. And we got so many people to sign up just by doing that.
Dude, you're like the Aflac of trucks.
Yeah.
My name is Bob. Thank you for this presentation, very good. I met a guy over in Titusville that works for a company that does add-ons and for like motorboats, ski boats and stuff, and I was just amazed how expensive they're a 3-year waiting list. They throw their money down, wait 3 years for this stuff, and it's like, that just seems like a huge industry. I don't know if you eventually consider the whole boating industry or?
It would be definitely be somewhere to expand into, of course, yeah, for sure.
It was like, I never could imagine that.
I have questions. What are your exclusions? Just give me like 2 examples of exclusions that you will not pay if something happens.
So you're asking an insurance question. I'm the tech guy, and my insurance guy's here. So let me see, exclusions. So where we are, let me tell you where we are in the process. So we built a rating engine, and we built a whole quote flow. If you go to Tredder.com, right now it's just a sign up. We used to have this rig builder, so we're building these tools. I'm getting your question through a roundabout way. That would allow you to basically build out your rig and get evaluations so you can know what's on your rig. We took that down because now we're building up the quote flow. In stage, we have a quote flow. It's not available to the public yet, so you can go in, out, add all your values, and we can quote. So we've created our rock, right? So we've got our rate order table. That's all been whatever we have. We've taken and gotten all the references for our rock, like because you have to have justifications when you file for insurance. The process we're at now is we're creating our policy language, and so that's where the exclusions will come in. So I don't know exactly what those are. But we're working on those now. It should probably be about another 2 or 3 months. We have to hire a lawyer to finish them, and it's like a $50,000 charge, and it takes about 30 days from that. So I don't know exactly what they are yet. But.
So I have a couple of very small, quick questions. First of all, when did you start this?
So when I met my co-founder, I flew out to the ITC last October, September, whatever it was, last year in Vegas to make sure he was legit. Spent the weekend with him, realized he was legit, and I wanted to be in on it. So then I came back and I went to an overlanding festival. I did my due diligence, and I met the community. I was like, after that, I was definitely in. So we filed the papers in November. We were in November 10 last year, and we started working on it right from there. Yeah.
The other question is that Orlando is a very strong entrepreneurial community, and unfortunately, the vast majority of people who start businesses in Orlando are solopreneurs. Okay, you have a pretty cool team. How did you manage to get those people? Was it just strictly? I mean, these are relationships you had in the corporate space or something, or how'd you put together such a good team?
So, as I mentioned, David and I matched on the Y Combinator co-founding matching tool, so I had a bunch of meetings with him. I would strongly recommend going on that and helping me find the co-founder. From there, it's part networking and part just putting yourself out there and basically, it's having your network. Jason knew David because Jason asked David in his venture company to fund his last Motion Auto, which actually David, it's a big joke because David didn't fund it and then they had a good exit, so now David's mad. But so they were together. Liebman, we found just by putting out some, he replied to a job posting we put on some social media. Linton, who is an insurance whiz, came from Jason. Ben is through a friend of mine who worked at Sol. He had worked with a buddy of mine who started a company called Sol. Matt was through outreach that David had found, and Justin was a friend of his. And Deborah, we had reached out to. She does the Rebel Rally, and so she's kind of famous in the community. We just kind of asked her to get involved.
And so, are all these people? Do all these people share your passion for this? Yeah. For this idea and this product, and they're all basically on an equity type of arrangement?
Actually, no. So most of them are contractors, but we have some people. So like some of our advisors, we will be giving some equity to. But right now, it's all basically contract. Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Great presentation.
Thank you.
How do you deal with natural disasters like hurricane, fire, tornado?
Sure.
What do you deal with it?
Yeah. So say tornado comes through and you have your truck sitting out and it gets wiped out. So you would file your claim with your auto insurance. The auto insurance would pay for the vehicle, and then you would file a claim with us, or it might just, we would be the first notification of loss actually for that, and then we would replace your gear and all the stuff you had insured. So I believe, I mean, again, our policy language is still being written out.
That can put you in bankruptcy if you got fire in California.
Yeah, so I'm not an insurance person, but what my partner says, he said there's no bad risk, there's just bad rates. So you adjust for that, right? So we have reinsurers. So I should also say the structure of our company is we get reinsurance that takes the paper, they undertake the risk. So it's not going to bankrupt us. They cover 90% of the risk, and we have what's called a captive. So we share in about 10% of the risk. Let's see if I can, real quick. So we're generating captive, so earned premium for captive. That 10% risk is value that we put in our own account. It all goes in our own account, just how it gets paid out. And then if that risk doesn't get used, that's profit for us at the end of the day. Yeah. But we have reinsurance, so.
One last question back.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, my question is, since you're saying that they have to make a claim through your insurance, and then make a claim through you guys would show up as a claim to the next insurance company that they want to come up with. And a lot of companies do claims.
So it was, don't hold me to this. I think the way it works is we'll be the first notification of loss, and we can then notify their insurance company, or they can notify us at the same time. But yeah, when you have a claim, I mean, you have a claim, right? I mean, if you you can't hide those. I was driving a Tesla last year, and I was driving 55 miles per hour on the highway on the turnpike. There was a flash rain, 15 minutes. It was sunny out, but there was rain on the water on the road. All of a sudden, I hydroplaned, took my foot off the gas. Like you're taught in school, this is a good safety lesson for y'all. Don't do that in a Tesla, because when you do that, the regenerative braking kicks in. And so I took my foot off the gas, my wheels locked up, I turned sideways, and I T-boned the thing. I had to report my insurance, and now my insurance is super high, but in 3 years it'll go off. You just gotta, it's the nature of the beast, right?
Gas? 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
But, so then, are you guys gonna show up as a comprehensive claim? Because technically that'll be theft.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sure I'm positive my insurance guy knows, but I don't know the answer.
Juliana's a pro. You definitely want to talk to her.
Okay, I'd love to.
So we got the final question. Sorry, we're out of time. Final question is, what can we as a community do for you?
So, support. If you're interested in overlanding or you have any ideas, come talk to me. We're also looking for funding. We're raising our pre-seed round, and we're looking to take on debt. So if you know any bankers, send them my way.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Sam Artioli. Now,
Teslas don't have gas.
Or the accelerators, aren't they?
Old habits.
that's called a skeuomorph. Actually, skeuomorph is designed, but it's sort of like if you look on a website and their save button is the shape of a floppy disk. Or if I want to call Jane, I dial my phone. There's no dial on my phone, and I tape something off of YouTube, right? So skeuomorph, SKEUO, skeuo, morph, MORPH. So anyway, being a word nerd, we know things like that. So now we're going to do a little something that we're calling Ask an Entrepreneur, or I like to call it Open Phones. So if you've got a question, now's the time to ask it. And if you know the answer, now is the time to give it. So, Rupert, Josh. Yep. So if you've got a question about anything business related, ask it. Someone knows the answer. Well, you got to run around.
I come up here. I thought we were.
Oh, we're
I don't know. What are we doing?
Both. Al, what do you got?
Question is, how many businesses did show here prosperous 5 years from now?
Say that again. How many businesses?
How many businesses?
Percent here in 5 years
Do we know?
Well, we haven't been keeping track because we've had over 700 businesses, present here since September of 2013. So our 10-year anniversary is coming up in a couple months.
Yes, happy birthday.
But as Sean will tell us, 90% of all businesses fail. as they start out. I would like to think that that number is much, much smaller if they came here.
Yes, so I can tell you that we've had 2 eventual unicorns and 6 eventual startup Shark Tank appearances start here. Yes.
In
Orlando.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Who here has presented and their more than 5 years ago, and their company still exists?
Presented, but I haven't, it wasn't 5 years ago.
Okay. So, 3 there. All we can tell you is this is the best, this is the top grassroots community in town, right? Because we're meeting every week and you never know who's in the room. I mean, Overlander, the guy, Rubicon, right? Then we've got Orlandopreneur, which is, 3rd Monday of every month, and 130 people show up for that. But we want to, the biggest problem is, I don't know, trying to gather my thoughts here. So, the prevailing wisdom is that 80% of companies fail after 5 years. The problem is that that information is very skewed towards the lifestyle businesses, the salon and the restaurant and the grocery store and things like that. And while they provide 50% of the jobs in this country, which is exceedingly important, they're not out to change the world. Okay? The ones that are out to change the world are either the true entrepreneurs or the wantrepreneurs. Okay? And so they have a 5% success rate. Okay? You were talking about Y Combinator. They admitted that their success rate is 7%. Okay? So I'm sorry, but if I got a 7 on my exams, I wouldn't have my degrees right now, right? Yeah. So we have to teach entrepreneurs, we have to help them self-educate because they don't. We have to make sure that they have the right mindsets because they don't. And then we have to make sure that they plan sufficiently, which they don't.
And Al, that's a good question, but I think a better question is how many people here have moved their business forward through a connection they made here? How many people have learned something? Because I'm actually part of a startup now that I met through 1 Million Cups just 3 months ago, and we're rocking and rolling already. So never would have happened without.
I expect nothing less from you.
That's a great one. Yeah.
So just to kind of put things into perspective, I do a lot of consulting with startups and stuff through the Blackstone Launchpad at UCF. And the great thing about being at 1 Million Cups is you have access to a lot of tools and a lot of things that you wouldn't normally have the ability to access, plus the contacts that are here. So to be able to meet the people, to tap into this sort of basically a help group or a mastermind group in a way, really can be extremely beneficial to anybody that's in here. If you take the time, you're gonna find that somebody can help you with something, and by getting help, you're gonna eliminate a ton of problems that you're gonna have. Because one of the biggest things that I see a lot of, young companies, young startups have, is that they go from the mentality of employee working as an employee punching a clock. Somebody said, oh, you make great cakes, you should start a bakery. And they go start a bakery with no idea how to run a business. And that's where the problem is. And there's so much wealth of knowledge and information in this room that by talking to the leadership and people that are in here, you can really cut off a lot of that learning curve and accelerate your business.
That's a great point, Jim. So 1 Million Cups, Orlandopreneur, and UCF Launchpad are literally 1% of the entrepreneurial and business service organizations in this area. There's over 300 of them. And these are organizations with open doors, open arms, free services, right? And so, you need to find out who they are. That's something that we're working on, but, in the meantime, don't be shy.
So if you guys put like in terms of steps or whatever housekeeping, what are the steps, the big steps for somebody that comes from the first time should be successful, should learn from what one million cups got you off? Like one tip from each one of you.
Okay, go ahead, Sean.
My suggestion is each and every one of us should start with why 90% fail, including the investors. They fail. They are not smarter than you. You have to understand that first.
Right.
Then you start with your journey. You should be spending most of your time in the first part of the journey. There are 95% of us fail. So make sure you go from like a 0 to 1. Get the first paying customer who can't live without you. Focus on it rather than spending a lot of time and money. Without that, 95% are going to fail. I know that. I have only dozen billion-dollar brands. That's all I have. I know what it takes to implement. I know entrepreneurs who invent, innovate, but very few implement. Like Thomas Edison said, invention without implementation is hallucination. That's true. That's where majority of the suicides, divorces, and everything happening all over the globe. Startup is the toughest journey in the world, period, bottom line.
So we're masochists.
So,
I think if anybody wants to talk about it, I'm more than glad to.
yeah, Sean's a great resource, by the way.
So what was his question again?
So one little piece of advice, like I guess someone first time kind of just starting off. See, I think we all have the right answers. We don't ask the right questions. So here's what we know, here's what we don't know, and here's what we don't know we don't know. So I would suggest you gotta talk to people, have coffee. If you have an idea, share that idea. Ask people, what don't I know about this? What am I not asking? What am I not aware of? Because you're gonna get other perspectives, and do not use your friends and family for it. Your friends and family already put you in a box. If I change your diapers, you're still gonna be my little kid, my little Joey, my little whatever, and you're just not gonna get a good, honest feedback from that. It's gonna be tainted. Talk to someone you don't know. Talk to someone who's already in business. Talk to someone who maybe has already been there. And I tell you what, people are so generous. If someone's been down the path, they're happy to share. This is not like, oh, I'm not gonna give you my secrets. They wanna share, they wanna see you succeed, because wealthy people actually know that there's unlimited amount of success out there. This isn't a buy.
All right, I do want to do a quick exercise and we'll get to you, Michael. If you are here for the first or second time ever, truly first or second time, Josh.
Today, first time today?
No.
Seriously?
Ever.
No, really?
Ever. If you're here for the first time ever, please stand up.
No fun.
First or second time ever.
Ever.
Okay. Now, turn around and look at the room. If you are a veteran entrepreneur and are willing to meet with one of these people for coffee or for lunch, raise your hand.
Absolutely.
You can do both. But now, for the newbies, look around, keep your hands up, look around, pick somebody. Point at them or something, and make plans to talk to them right after this to go have coffee or lunch within the next 7 days. So pick somebody, identify them, see them right after this, exchange cards, make plans.
I'm willing if they buy lunch, I'll go.
We are all bribable by coffee.
That's my program.
Yeah, this is lunch with the mentor.
Tim, take that to me.
For the people who didn't have their hands raised, we're not jerks, we're just not vegetables.
You can do either. Yeah, if you did, I'm sorry, Tim, one more thing. If you didn't raise your hand like Kia and you didn't stand up, do it anyway. Find somebody, talk to somebody, be approachable, but you can still do it. This does not exclude you. Go ahead.
When you do meet this person, get your calendar out on your phone, put the date in there, when you're going to be, so it's done. You know, I'm gonna call you.
Everyone raise your hands again. You people just didn't get to see everyone.
Okay.
So just towards the end.
All right.
Towards the end.
I have a pain point I'm trying to figure out right now. I'm really good at being a crisis manager. I can take an absolute train wreck and turn into something manageable very quickly. I'm really good at the administrative part. I can make entire programs work together seamlessly. But wearing both hats at the same time is exhausting.
Is there something that somebody can suggest to, I guess, compartmentalize? I've lost 2 people that I used to work with because of family emergencies, and they're coming back, but it's still 6 months without them, and having some issues on getting the work done.
I would pick one and maybe compartmentalize. You have a general skill set, but pick one and do it for a few months, and don't do the other thing. Pick one, whichever one, A, you like better, B, makes the most money, and do that thing. And for example, I started out as a social media person. I was one of the first people to write books about social media marketing. I don't do that anymore. I offer it to somebody who needs writing, but I don't go pursue the social media. It's just that surprise skill set that people don't realize I have. So pick one thing that you like doing, keep the other one as that surprise thing that, oh, I can do that too. But focus on the thing you like best.
I would focus on the thing that provides the most value, because that's what people will be paying you for. So, it's cash flow. If you don't have cash flow, you really don't have a business. So that's what I would focus on. But back to your question. Your question is, what's the one
tip?
One tip. Y'all know me. I'm always about PLAN and how it's a 4-letter word. But I would try to understand your why. Okay, because the entrepreneurial journey, like Sean reminded us, is it's an extremely tough journey. They don't call us the 1% for nothing. Okay, and so why are you willing to risk your home, your marriage, your property, your sanity, your retirement savings, your 401k? Why are you willing to risk all of that? Okay, you need to understand it clearly. Right, and that understanding helps anchor you, right, where you need to go, and then from there you can set your goal, which is up here somewhere, and the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And so now that you know your why and your goal, then Steve Jobs said the best skill set he ever learned was to say no. Okay, we're entrepreneurs. It's like, oh, squirrel, right? So, and people are going to be coming up to you all the time. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. So, don't do this. Do this.
All right, got one in the back, and then Sean.
All right, so this is kind of like a two-part. So number one, I'm a solopreneur. The biggest thing when it comes to creating a team is my lack of trust of other individuals. Right? And I'm one to say, even like in my professional work, when I work for HR, I tend to tell people, hey, even Superman is part of it. But I think I'm about it. So I guess, so my question comes this way. It's also two-part. Number one, how do you establish the trust when it comes to co-founders, advisors, etc.? But then two, so when it comes to your product or your services, what skill set do you utilize to not have your brain racing all the time and say, hey, I need to get my product out, I need to do this, I need to develop my product better. It's like you're fighting against yourself.
Let's have him answer this question.
So the question is, how do you trust a co-founder? How do you find a co-founder? How do you trust them?
I trust anybody.
How do you trust anybody? Trust but verify. So finding a co-founder, you'll find people like minds kind of attract, like forums, or there's places. Once you find that person, the best way to trust them is to trust them, right? You have to trust them, but you have to give yourself an escape route. And so what I strongly recommend, what we did was when we formed our C Corp, we created an equity structure so that we had a 1-year cliff and then monthly vesting. Absolutely 100% do that. Do not do that. I still don't own any of the stock in our company because our 1 year is coming up in November. We actually had 4 co-founders, but one of them just wasn't in, and he wasn't putting his life in like we were, and we said, sorry, it's not working out, and we let him go, and he was very unhappy about that, and we were friends with him, and it kind of ended the relationship. But you got to give yourself that escape hatch. So if you're building a business, right, you got to trust someone. You got to trust them. Trust but verify, right? So trust, bring them in, and then create some sort of equity structure that, allows you to, if something goes wrong, you don't really lose. You just maybe lose that amount of time. You don't lose half your business.
Make sure you've got contracts in place.
It's a great idea.
And then your second question was, how do you?
I kind of stopped my mind from raising. So one of my biggest concerns is not concerns. One of my biggest adversaries is myself, right? Like I tend to say, okay, I create my product, and then I go to sleep, and then next time I'm like, damn, I can make this better. Damn, I can make this better. Damn, I'm driving.
It's just having a plan. That's it. Just have a plan and stick to it, right? Say no, right? If something is pulling you in another direction, if it's a great idea, document it and put it into a document that's all my future ideas for version 2.0, et cetera, but stick to the plan.
And then just draw a line on a date. Up to this date, up to August 2nd, this is the version. I'm not making any changes for 3 months, but I'm going to write them all down like Rupert said. And then you start working on 2.1, in September 2nd. Scott and then Sean and Jim.
I want to address a little bit more of Peter's question about some tips here in 1 Million Cups. One of the things that I'm kind of passionate about with how we do things here is that we're providing entrepreneurs an opportunity to practice or to work on their pitch. And so what I would say is, if you're coming in here and you're participating in the audience, take note of how people are doing their pitch and how well they're getting their point across, how well they're getting, what it is that their business is, what it is that they're looking for, and how they're utilizing brevity to do this. We kind of have a guideline of 6 minutes. Other pitch competitions will have a hard line at 5 minutes or something like that. So if you're working on, or 2 minutes, or 1 minute. So if you're working on your pitch, if you're working on your company, there's, the old 30-second elevator pitch. Know how to give your pitch in 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and 20 minutes. And know where you're at and what purpose you're serving in that venue. And that way you can direct to your audience and be able to, if you're presenting at Rotary, then you got 20 minutes. If you're presenting here, you got 6. If you're presenting at a pitch competition, you have 2. So just know where you're at and know how to have that conversation in the exact amount of time that is necessary in that situation.
Perfect. We have 2 minutes to go. Sean, keep it short, please.
There are so many things have to go perfectly with every business model. Only one way to reach final destination. But do everything right, on the way. There are a couple of things important. One, all of us have a wandering mind. All of us. Pope has it, Sean has it. I manage to manage it. Okay? That's the key. Learn to manage your wandering mind. Never, especially solopreneurs, never fall in love with your solution, please. Because that's your baby. You think it's beautiful? No, it's ugly. I mean it. Don't ever fall in love. Fall in love with the problem. In fact, be obsessed with the problem. That's the difference between us and Elon Musk and Michael Dell, Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, all those people. So fall in love with the problem.
Right, we have to move on.
I'll be more than happy.
Jim, what was your question?
No, I just wanted to address your thing about trust. 2 things real quick. Number 1, as the entrepreneur and leader of your company, if you're the CEO, you have to be 100% responsible for all decisions. The second thing you waver from that, or the second you try to pass the buck, you've lost all credibility, because the people that you want to bring in are thinking the same thing. How can I trust this guy? Okay? The second thing you can do is things, I learned a concept called making each small promises. I use a lot with customers and stuff. So like if you're with a customer or you're with one of your coworkers, if you make a promise to them, hey, this is really great, look, I'll drop it off to you tomorrow. Make sure you do what you said you will do, and do it earlier if you can than when you promised. And if you're gonna be late, make sure you call and let them know, hey, I'm sorry I got tied up. That will help you build trust, and the more you build trust with them, the quicker they'll trust you.
All right, right here, please, very short.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say about, your mind racing, wondering about making your solution better. If you care about what you do, you're always gonna want to make it better. You gotta be comfortable with making it good enough to get it to market. Will people pay for it? Because you can always make it better after you already got it, especially with something like software or a service that you provide. You can always iterate and develop later. You gotta get it good enough to get it in their hands and get them to pay for it, and then you can always upgrade later.
All right, perfect. All right, next week we're going to hear from Al Bresciani about this very topic, Mentorship College. If you're on Zoom, you can download the chat. If you want to get a copy of the chat, it's basically just me and Sheila Burrell saying good morning to each other. Join us on meetup.com. Connect with somebody. In fact, again, if you are willing to meet with a new entrepreneur or somebody who is new to 1 Million Cups, willing to meet for coffee or lunch, please raise your hand. Hi. Like H-I-G-H, not hello. But if you're willing to meet, and so if you're new here, find one of these people, ask them to lunch, ask them to coffee, or even a phone call or a Zoom call, whatever's convenient. This is how we're going to build the community. This is how we engage and connect. Don't forget your parking pass. If it looks like a business card, it is a parking pass. It's on the corner of the coffee station. So if you parked in the garage, that's what you need to get out. If you did not park in the garage, you don't need a pass. And otherwise, thank you very much, and we will see you. You have an announcement? Oh, and Dan has an announcement too. I almost forgot, Dan.
Right. This is the first Wednesday of the month. I teach a class on business leadership and ethics. It's at the UCM Incubator, which is just 20 minutes from here. So after you do your networking after this meeting, you can drive down there. It's right behind Kabuki Sushi. And today we are covering ethics as a part of different parts of your business, your staff, your customers, and overall operations, even ChatGPT.
It's the room where we used to meet. The place, UCF Business Incubator on Colonial, 3218 East Colonial.
Wow. And it's free. Everyone can come.
And that is a fascinating class and discussion. It's a great opportunity. So Orlandopreneur is an organization created to empower entrepreneurs and startups in Central Florida to help create a startup ecosystem that other cities in the world will want to emulate. We have our famous, happy hour event, which is the third Monday of every month. We're the fastest growing organization in the #1 startup city in the country. We have over 1,000 members. We started this year, and we're averaging over 120 people. We buy the first drink. It's going to be at Point Orlando, Blue Martini on the 21st. So we hope to see you all there.
Definitely want to go.
All right. Thank you very much. See you next week. You? Yeah.